Thank you. I would love to scream Happy Juneteenth, but slavery isn't over. It has only been reformed into what is now the prison system. Every president, every member of Congress, whether they be Republican or Democrat, has had a hand in this system of slavery. Prisons are not here to rehabilitate or to keep the public safe. They are here to isolate, intimidate, and to place fear in the hearts of Black people, and to divide the working class even further, and of course, to make the 1% richer. The United States spends $80 billion per year to keep over 2.3 million people incarcerated. That number does not include the 60,000 plus juveniles that are locked away in cages as well. Here in South Carolina, Black people are only 29% of the population, but make up 53% of the jail population and 62% of the prison population. Simply put, our tax money is paying to incarcerate 1 in every 15 Black men. So while we fight for the liberation of Black men on the outside, let's not forget about the Black men who are not being fed and being placed in solitary confinement for months on end for simply reading a book. While we are standing up for women, it is time we stand up for the women behind bars who are only getting 5 pads per period, whose legs are shackled while they give birth, and who aren't able to breastfeed their children, and whose sexual abuse rates is 3 times higher than that of men that are incarcerated. If this country really wanted to protect women, if it really wanted us to be safe, it wouldn't imprison more of us than any other country in the world. As we come together for trans rights, come together as well for the trans women locked in cages, where they are 13 times more likely to be raped compared to cisgender inmates. While we protect the youth in our neighborhoods, let us also protect the 1 in 8 who are sexually abused while in detention centers. Just as recently as February of this year, South Carolina Department of Juvenile Justice has been under investigation for human rights abuses against children. Solitary confinement for 23 hours a day, not letting their families come visit them. Even corrections officers have been refusing to get help when children were threatening to harm themselves. Not only are women and men subjected to inhumane living conditions, they are forced to sell their labor for merely 63 cents an hour in the midst of a pandemic. People incarcerated are still being thrown into solitary confinement, not being given regular health screenings, and living in unsanitary conditions where a virus can flourish. There is no physical distancing when you are forced to be 2 to 3 per cell. The ruling class has criminalized poverty, and what is even more disgusting is that they hoard the resources that the poor and dispossessed need to survive. For mass incarceration to end, we must make healthcare free and accessible, as well as food and housing. These are basic human rights, and the fact that none of these are considered human rights violations in America shows us the little regard that they have for the poor, especially the Black poor. Meet people's needs. This can only happen under socialism because capitalism requires a police state to intimidate and suppress the people who have the most to gain by revolting. Capitalism requires us to sell our labor to the highest bidder, then locks us in cages just for trying to survive. We must come together, comrades. We must stand in solidarity and continue to rebel against capitalism and create a world where our labor isn't sold to the highest bidder, a world where Black people aren't being lynched and locked in cages. We must build socialism, comrades. Thank you.